I stood outside the venue, staring at the security guard holding two glossy photos of my children, Ava's gap-toothed smile, Liam's bright eyes, and beneath each picture, printed in bold letters, "Do not admit." My hands went numb. I had paid $23,000 for this wedding, every penny of my divorce settlement, money meant for Ava's braces, for Liam's asthma treatments, for their future. And my stepsister Jessica had turned my babies into threats. The guard shifted uncomfortably, not meeting my eyes. Behind me, my mother, Patricia, walked out from the ceremony venue, saw me standing there, and actually turned away. In that moment, something inside me broke and then rebuilt itself into something harder, something that would never bend for them again. I turned on my heel, walked back to my car, and drove away from the venue I had paid for, the wedding I had funded, the family that had used me. This was not over, not by a long shot. 3 months earlier, Jessica had shown up at my doorstep just as I was helping Liam with his homework. Her mascara was running, her hands shaking, and she looked like someone had just told her the world was ending. I opened the door and she fell into my arms, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her words. "He proposed," she finally managed to say between hiccups. "Evan proposed, and I said yes. And oh, Rachel, I'm so happy. But I'm also terrified because his parents want this huge wedding, and Mom doesn't have the money, and I don't know what to do." I led her to my couch, made her tea, and listened while Ava and Liam watched from the kitchen doorway. Evan Mitchell. I knew the name. Everyone in our town did. His father, Thomas Mitchell, was a best-selling author, one of those self-made millionaires who wrote books about business strategy and human psychology. The Mitchell family lived in a mansion on the hill in Asheville, North Carolina, the kind with gates, security cameras, and a circular driveway. "Evan's parents want to invite 300 people," Jessica said, wiping her eyes. "They want it at the Willow Creek estate. They want champagne fountains, a 10-piece band, and flowers flown in from Ecuador." "And Mom?" She trailed off, and I knew what she wasn't saying. Patricia worked as a receptionist at a dental office in Raleigh, North Carolina. She had raised both of us on her own after my father died and her second husband left. There was no money for the kind of wedding the Mitchells expected. "How much are we talking?" I asked, though I already knew I was going to regret the question. Jessica pulled out her phone and showed me a spreadsheet. The venue alone was $8,000. Catering for 300 guests was $7,000. Her dress, the one she had been dreaming about since she was 11, was $4,000. Flowers, $2,000. Photography, $2,000. The numbers kept going, line after line, until the total at the bottom made my stomach twist. $23,000, Jessica whispered. "I know it's insane. I told Evan we should just do something small, but his mother already started planning. She's telling everyone about the wedding. If we back out now, Evan says it'll humiliate his family." I thought about the envelope sitting in my desk drawer upstairs. $30,000 from my divorce settlement. Money my ex-husband had been court-ordered to pay after I discovered he had been siphoning funds from our joint account for 2 years. That money was supposed to be for Ava's orthodontist appointments next year, for Liam's nebulizer and medications, for their college funds that I had started too late. "Rachel," Jessica said, grabbing my hand, "you're the only person I can ask. You've always been the strong one, the one who takes care of everyone. When Dad died, you helped Mom with the bills, even though you were only 15. When I needed help with college applications, you stayed up all night editing my essays. You've always been there for me." The guilt settled over me like a heavy blanket. She was right. I had always been there. And wasn't that what family did? "I'll pay you back," Jessica said quickly. "Evan has a great job in finance. Once we're married, we'll have 2 incomes. I promise, Rachel. Every penny." I looked at my children watching from the kitchen. Ava's shoes were getting too small. Liam needed new clothes for school, but Jessica was my sister, the only sibling I had. Okay, I heard myself say, I'll help. Jessica's face lit up like I had just given her the moon. She threw her arms around me, thanking me over and over, promising that she would never forget this, that I was the best sister in the world. Over the next 2.5 months, I paid for everything. Every time Jessica called with a new request, I transferred the money. The venue wanted a deposit. The caterer needed payment up front. The dress required full payment at the fitting. Each transfer made my bank account lighter and my chest tighter. I started picking up extra shifts at the hospital in Durham, North Carolina, where I worked as a medical records clerk. I sold furniture I didn't absolutely need. I canceled Ava's piano lessons and Liam's swimming classes. When Ava asked why we couldn't go to the community pool anymore on weekends, I told her we needed to save money for something important. When Liam complained that his shoes were falling apart, I promised to buy him new ones right after Jessica's wedding. Every sacrifice felt like proof that I was a good sister, a good person. Jessica's calls became more frequent. Rachel, Evan's mom, is asking about the champagne. Can we upgrade to the French brand? It's only $300 more. Or, the photographer offered a premium package with an engagement shoot. It's just another $500. Evan really wants it. I said yes every time because that's what I did. I said yes. Then, 1 week before the wedding, the formal invitation arrived in my mailbox. Heavy cardstock, gold lettering, elegant calligraphy. I opened it with Ava and Liam crowding around me, excited to see Aunt Jessica's wedding invitation. Adults-only reception, no children under 12. Ava's face fell. We can't go to Aunt Jessica's wedding? I felt something cold settle in my stomach. I pulled out my phone and called Jessica immediately. Oh, that, she said when I asked about it. Her voice was different, cooler. Yeah, Evan's parents insisted they want an elegant evening. You know how kids can be at weddings, running around, crying, making noise. This is a sophisticated event, Rachel. But I paid for this wedding, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And Ava and Liam are your niece and nephew. And you'll get full credit in my thank you speech, Jessica replied. I'll make sure everyone knows how generous you were. But the no kids rule is non-negotiable. Evan's parents were very clear. If you want to come, you'll need to find a babysitter. Jessica, I don't have money for a babysitter. I spent everything on your wedding. There was a pause. Then Jessica sighed. That particular sigh that said I was being difficult. Rachel, please don't make this into a drama. This is my wedding day. My one special day. Can't you just be supportive? Find a neighbor kid to watch them. It'll be fine. She hung up before I could respond. I spent the next 3 days frantically searching for a babysitter. Everyone I knew was either going to the wedding or unavailable. Finally, I found an 18-year-old named Emily who charged $100 for the day, plus another $100 for staying late since the reception would go until midnight. $200 I didn't have, but I pulled it together anyway, because I had already come this far, because the alternative was not going to the wedding I had funded. When I transferred that final payment, my bank account showed $4,700 from $30,000 just 3 months ago. I had spent more than $25,000 on my stepsister's perfect day. And I was bringing my children gifts from the dollar store because that was all I could afford. But I told myself it would be worth it. I told myself that family was everything. I told myself that Jessica would pay me back just like she promised. I told myself a lot of things that turned out to be lies. The morning of the wedding, I woke up at 5:30 to give myself enough time to get ready. I had rented a dress for $150 because buying one was out of the question. It was a simple navy blue cocktail dress. Nothing fancy, but it was appropriate, and it fit well. Ava sat on my bed watching me do my makeup. You look pretty, Mommy, she said softly. Thank you, sweetheart. I turned to look at her. I'm sorry you and Liam can't come today. It's okay, she said, but her eyes were sad. Aunt Jessica must be really busy getting married. That's why she didn't want kids there, right? Not because she doesn't like us. My heart cracked a little. Of course she likes you. This is just a grown-up party, that's all. Liam wandered in, dragging his stuffed bear. How long will you be gone? Just until tonight. Emily will be here soon to hang out with you. I'll bring you both pizza when I get home. Okay. Emily arrived at 8:30. I went over the emergency numbers 3 times, showed her where everything was, and gave her my credit card for the pizza delivery. The guilt of leaving my children for a wedding they were banned from attending sat heavy in my chest. The drive to the Willow Creek estate took 45 minutes. I had been there once before for a charity auction Patricia had gotten tickets to. It was breathtaking. Manicured gardens, a fountain in the center of the circular driveway, and a view of the river that looked like something from a painting. When I pulled up to the entrance, there was a security checkpoint. A man in a black suit stood next to a tablet mounted on a podium. I rolled down my window. Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm here for the Mitchell Cooper wedding. The guard looked at his tablet, scrolling through what I assumed was the guest list. He scrolled once, twice. His eyebrows drew together. I don't see your name here, ma'am. My smile faltered. That's impossible. I'm the bride's sister. Stepsister, technically, but family. There must be a mistake. Let me double-check. He scrolled again, more carefully this time. Then he shook his head. I'm sorry, but you're not on the approved guest list. I can't let you through without authorization. Panic started to rise in my throat. Can you call someone? Call the wedding coordinator. There's obviously been an error. The guard picked up his radio. We have a situation at the front gate. Guest claiming to be family, not on the list. I'll be right there. I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to understand what was happening. I had paid for this entire wedding. How was I not on the guest list? 5 minutes later, a woman in an elegant black pantsuit walked briskly toward my car. Her hair was pulled back in a severe bun, and her expression was all business. I'm Lauren, the event coordinator, she said. I understand there's a problem. Yes, there's been a mistake. I'm Rachel, Jessica's sister. I'm not on the guest list, but I should be. Lauren pulled out her own tablet, checked it, and looked back at me with barely concealed impatience. If you're not on the list, then you're not authorized to enter. The bride and groom were very specific about who was invited. I need to speak with Jessica. Can you please go get her or call her? She'll clear this up immediately. Lauren's expression suggested this was a massive inconvenience, but she nodded. Wait here. I called Jessica's phone. It went straight to voicemail. I tried Patricia next. My mother answered on the 3rd ring. Rachel, what's wrong? Mom, I'm at the gate and they won't let me in. I'm not on the guest list. Can you come out here and tell them who I am? There was a long pause. Too long. Just wait there, honey. I'll talk to Jessica. She hung up. I sat in my car for 15 minutes. Other guests pulled up, gave their names, and were waved through. I watched them drive past. Me, heading toward the venue where my money had paid for their champagne, their meals, and their flowers. Then I saw another security guard walking toward the entrance, carrying something. As he got closer, my blood turned to ice. He was holding 2 photographs, color prints, 8 by 10 inches, and I knew those faces. Ava's school picture from last year, the one where she was wearing her favorite purple shirt, smiling so big you could see the gap from her missing front tooth. Liam's preschool photo, the one where his hair was sticking up a little because he had refused to let me comb it that morning. My children. The new guard approached the first one and held up the photos. These are the kids, I heard him say. Do not admit if they show up. Direct orders from the bride. I got out of my car so fast I almost tripped. Excuse me, excuse me. Both guards turned to look at me. I walked up to them, my whole body shaking. Those are my children. Why do you have pictures of my children? The first guard looked uncomfortable. The second one, the one holding the photos, maintained a neutral expression. Ma'am, these are just precautionary measures. We have instructions that these minors are not permitted on the property. Minors? They're 7 and 4 years old, and they're not even here. They're at home with a babysitter because this wedding has a no-children policy. Why would you need their pictures? We were told you might try to bring them anyway, the second guard said. The bride wanted to make sure we could identify them if necessary. The world tilted. Jessica had given them photos of Ava and Liam like they were criminals, like they were threats. My babies, who she had held when they were born, who called her Aunt Jessica, who made her handmade cards on her birthday. I paid for this wedding, I said, and my voice cracked. I paid $23,000 for this wedding, and she's treating my children like they're dangerous. The guards said nothing. What could they say? Behind me, I heard a car door close. I turned to see my mother walking toward me from the venue. Her face was tight, and she wouldn't meet my eyes. Rachel, go home, Patricia said quietly. Mom, did you know about this? Did you know she gave them pictures of Ava and Liam? Just go home, Rachel. Don't make a scene. Don't embarrass the family. Embarrass the family? I stared at her. She has pictures of my children at a security checkpoint with orders not to admit them, and you're worried about me embarrassing the family? Jessica told me you were planning to bring the kids even after she said no. She had to protect her wedding. I wasn't going to bring them. I hired a babysitter. I spent $200 I don't have on a babysitter because Jessica demanded an adult-only wedding. Patricia crossed her arms. Well, apparently Jessica didn't trust you to follow the rules, and given how you're acting right now, maybe she was right to be cautious. I looked at my mother, really looked at her, and I realized that she was going to defend Jessica no matter what, that she had always defended Jessica, that I had spent my whole life being the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who took care of everyone else. And the moment I needed someone to stand up for me, my own mother chose my stepsister instead. I'm leaving, I said. Enjoy the wedding, the one I paid for. I walked back to my car, got in, and drove away. I made it about 2 miles before I had to pull over because I couldn't see through my tears. I had given Jessica everything, and she had given security guards photos of my children with instructions to keep them out. I sat on the side of the road for 20 minutes, crying until I couldn't cry anymore. Then I drove home. Emily looked surprised when I walked in at 11:30. Oh, you're back early. Is everything okay? Change of plans, I managed to say. Here's the full amount we agreed on. Thank you for coming. After Emily left, Ava and Liam ran to me. Mommy, you're back already. Was the wedding beautiful? I knelt down and pulled them both into a hug. The wedding didn't work out the way Mommy thought it would. Did Aunt Jessica get married? Ava asked. I don't know, sweetheart. Liam looked up at me with his big brown eyes. Why are you sad, Mommy? I'm not sad, I lied. I'm just tired. Let's order that pizza I promised you. I ordered 2 large pizzas with all their favorite toppings. While we waited for delivery, I sat on the couch with Ava on one side and Liam on the other, pretending to watch cartoons while my mind spun in circles. I pulled out my phone and checked my bank account. $4,700. That was all that was left from my divorce settlement, money that was supposed to last us for months, supposed to cover Ava's braces, supposed to be our safety net. I had given Jessica more than $25,000 for a wedding where I wasn't even on the guest list, where my children were treated like security threats. The pizza arrived. I put on a smile for Ava and Liam, served them slices, and watched them eat, while my stomach churned too much to eat anything myself. Then, at exactly 2:15 in the afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Rachel? A man's voice, deep, authoritative, unfamiliar. Yes. Who is this? Thomas Mitchell, Evan's father. We need to talk. I stood up from the couch and walked into the kitchen so Ava and Liam wouldn't hear. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. Mr. Mitchell, I said, I'm sorry about what happened today. I didn't mean to cause any trouble at the gate. I'll make sure Jessica gets an apology. Stop. His voice was sharp. You have nothing to apologize for. My son's wedding is off. The room spun. What? Off? What do you mean off? I mean, I stopped it 20 minutes ago. The ceremony was about to begin, and I called it off. I couldn't process what he was saying. I don't understand. Let me explain. Thomas's voice was cold, controlled, furious. About an hour ago, one of our guests was taking photos of the venue. Beautiful day, beautiful setting, you understand? She was near the entrance and decided to get a shot of the fountain. When she reviewed her photos, she noticed something odd in the background, security guards holding pictures of children. My stomach dropped. She's a friend of my wife's, nosy but well-meaning. She walked over and asked the guards what was going on. They showed her the photos. 2 children, a little girl and a little boy, with instructions not to admit them to the property. She thought it was bizarre, so she took a picture and showed it to my wife. I closed my eyes, gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. My wife brought it to me. I looked at those photos, and I saw 2 innocent children, and I wondered what kind of person would put children's faces on a security blacklist at a wedding. So I asked Jessica directly, "Whose children are these?" I held my breath. She said, and I quote, "Just some random kids whose mother tried to crash the wedding." She was laughing when she said it. Rachel, laughing. Nausea rolled through me. One of the other guests overheard, an aunt of Evan's who knows your mother. She said, "That's not some random woman. That's Patricia's daughter. That's Jessica's stepsister. And those are her children." The whole thing unraveled from there. Thomas paused, and I could hear him take a breath, like he was trying to control his temper. I pulled Evan aside and asked him a simple question. "Did your stepsister-in-law pay for this wedding?" He looked confused. He said no, that Jessica told him her father had left her money in a trust fund, and she was using her inheritance. The words came out as a whisper. Evan knew nothing about you, nothing about your money. Jessica had lied to him completely. So, I went back to Jessica and asked her directly, "Did your stepsister pay $23,000 for this wedding?" What did she say? She couldn't lie to my face, not with everyone watching. She admitted it, all of it, that you paid for everything, that she had told Evan it was inheritance money. And when I asked about the children, about why their photos were at a security checkpoint, do you know what she said? What? She said they were just kids, that they would have ruined everything with their noise and their mess, that you should be grateful she even let you attend at all. I pressed my hand against the counter to steady myself. That's when I stopped the wedding, Thomas said. I walked into the ceremony space where 300 guests were waiting. I found the officiant and told him there would be no wedding today. I told Jessica that I would not allow my son to marry someone capable of such cruelty and deception. What did she do? She cried. She screamed. She begged. She promised she would change, that it was all a misunderstanding, that she would make it right. Evan was in shock. Your mother tried to intervene, saying it was just wedding stress, that Jessica was a good girl. But I was done. I had the coordinator escort Jessica out. The wedding is over. I couldn't speak, couldn't think. I'm calling you for 2 reasons, Thomas continued. First, to apologize on behalf of my son. Evan is a good young man, but he was fooled by someone who was very good at manipulation. If he had known the truth, this never would have happened. And second, to warn you, Jessica and Evan are on their way to your house right now. Jessica is hysterical. Evan is furious with her, but he thinks if you forgive her, I'll change my mind about the wedding. I won't, but they're coming anyway. My breath caught. They're coming here? Yes. And I'm telling you, Rachel, do not open your door. Why? Because Jessica will manipulate you. She's done it before, hasn't she? That's how you ended up paying for this wedding. She'll cry. She'll beg. She'll promise anything. She'll use every emotional trick in her arsenal. And if you're anything like I think you are, you'll want to believe her. He was right. I could already feel the guilt creeping in, the voice in my head saying that maybe I was being too harsh, that family should forgive. Don't fall for it, Thomas said firmly. She stole from you. She lied about you. She humiliated your children. She doesn't deserve your forgiveness, your money, or your kindness. Mr. Mitchell, I appreciate the call, but why do you care? You don't even know me. There was a pause. Because I've spent 39 years studying human behavior for my books. I've interviewed hundreds of people, analyzed thousands of relationships, and I know a good person when I see one. Jessica painted you as some troublemaker trying to crash her wedding. But the truth is, you funded her entire dream wedding and asked for nothing in return. That's not a troublemaker. That's a person with a good heart who was taken advantage of. My eyes filled with tears. As for your money, Thomas continued, I'm going to make sure you get it back. Every penny. I'm having my lawyer draw up papers tomorrow. We'll pursue Jessica legally if necessary. You won't lose your children's college fund because of her greed. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stand your ground. Say you won't let her in when she shows up. Can you do that? I thought about Ava and Liam in the living room, about the $4,700 in my account, about the photos of my babies in a security guard's hands. Yes, I said. I can do that. Good. Stay strong, Rachel. You deserve better than this family has given you. He hung up. I stood in my kitchen, phone still pressed to my ear, trying to process everything. The wedding was off. Jessica was on her way here. Thomas Mitchell, a man I had never met, was going to help me get my money back. I walked back to the living room, where Ava and Liam were finishing their pizza. Everything okay, Mommy? Ava asked. Everything's going to be okay, I said. And for the first time, that day, I actually believed it. 10 minutes later, I heard the knock on the door. The knocking started soft, almost hesitant. 3 quick taps, then silence, then 3 more, harder this time. I was sitting on the couch with Ava and Liam. The TV was playing a movie none of us were really watching. My whole body tensed at the sound. Mommy, someone's at the door, Liam said, starting to get up. I'll get it, baby. You stay here and watch the movie. I walked to the door but didn't open it. Through the peephole, I could see Jessica's face, her makeup smeared, her eyes red and puffy. Behind her stood a tall man in a gray suit. Evan, I assumed. The knocking came again, more frantic now. Rachel, please, I know you're in there. Open the door. Ava appeared at my elbow. Mommy, that's Aunt Jessica. Should I let her in? No, honey. I put my hand on her shoulder. Go back to the living room with Liam. Mommy needs to handle this. But why can't Aunt Jessica come in? Please, Ava, go to your room. Take Liam with you now. Something in my tone made her obey. I watched her take Liam's hand and lead him upstairs. They looked back at me with confused, worried faces before disappearing around the corner. I turned back to the door, placed my hands flat against it, and took a breath. Go away, Jessica. Rachel, please. I can explain everything. Just let me in. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. Yes, there is. Everything got so confused today. It was all a misunderstanding. If you just let me explain. Explain what? I raised my voice so she could hear me clearly through the door. Explain why you gave security guards photos of my children with orders not to admit them? Silence. Explain why you told Evan that your inheritance paid for the wedding when I gave you $23,000 of my money. More silence. I'm listening, Jessica. Explain. It wasn't like that. Her voice was high, desperate. I just panicked. Evan's parents are so particular about everything, and I wanted the wedding to be perfect. I was going to tell him the truth after we were married. I was going to pay you back. I swear. And my children. Explain them. I was protecting my wedding. You told me they weren't coming, but I didn't know if I could trust that. What if you brought them anyway? What if they ran around and broke something or cried during the ceremony? I had to make sure. You had to make sure what? That my 7-year-old daughter and my 4-year-old son were treated like criminals at a wedding I paid for? Evan's voice came through the door for the first time. Rachel, this is Evan. I didn't know about any of this. I swear to you, I had no idea. If I had known that Jessica took your money, that she lied to me about where it came from. If you had known what? I shot back. You still would have been fine with banning children from your wedding. You still would have married someone who could do something like this. Please, Evan said, just let us in so we can talk face to face. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix. Your father already fixed it. The wedding is over. Jessica let out a wail that sounded almost inhuman. This is all your fault, she screamed. You ruined my wedding. You made a scene at the gate, and you turned Evan's father against me. And now everything is destroyed. I pulled back from the door like I'd been slapped. I ruined your wedding? If you had just stayed home like I told you to, if you hadn't tried to make yourself the center of attention. This is my day, Rachel. Mine. And you couldn't stand that, could you? You had to ruin it. My hands clenched into fists. You told me I was invited. You begged me for money and promised I would be part of your special day. And then you put me on a do not admit list and gave security photos of my children. I said you'd get credit in the thank you speech. That's being invited. That's not being invited. That's using me. Evan's voice cut in. Jessica, stop. You're making this worse. Don't you understand? Jessica screamed, and I wasn't sure if she was talking to me or to Evan. If she forgives me, your dad will let us get married. All she has to do is tell him it's fine, that we worked it out. Then we can still have everything we planned. The truth of it hit me like ice water. She didn't care that she had hurt me. She didn't care about Ava and Liam. She just wanted me to fix things with Thomas so she could have her fairy tale wedding. I heard another car pull up. A door slammed. My mother's voice. Perfect. The whole family was here. Mom, you told me to leave and not embarrass the family. I left. What more do you want? I almost laughed. She hasn't apologized. She's blamed me for ruining her wedding. Patricia's voice switched to a familiar tone. She says things she doesn't mean when she's upset. Just open the door. We'll sit down and talk like adults. I am being an adult who won't let herself be used anymore. Rachel. My mother's voice took on that particular tone, the one she had used my whole childhood when she wanted me to fall in line. Now I'm asking you for one thing. Forgive your sister. The guilt crashed over me in waves. My mother had raised me alone after my father died. She had worked 2 jobs to keep us fed and clothed. She had sacrificed so much, and now she was asking me to sacrifice for Jessica. Mom, she stole from me. She lied about me. She humiliated my children. She made mistakes. People make mistakes. Family forgives. Does family also use each other? Does family also throw each other away when they're inconvenient? Rachel, You've always been the good daughter, the responsible one, the one who takes care of everyone. Don't let your pride destroy this family. Pride? She thought this was about pride. Evan spoke up again. Mrs. Patricia is right. Family is everything. My father will come around if he sees that you and Jessica have reconciled. We can all move past this. Jessica's crying intensified. Please, Rachel, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was stressed and overwhelmed, and I made terrible decisions. But we're sisters. We've been through everything together. Remember when Dad died and we held each other and cried? Remember when you helped me with my homework every night in high school? Remember when I was your maid of honor at your wedding? We're family. Please. My resolve was crumbling. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe I should give her a chance to explain properly. Maybe. Mommy, don't. I spun around. Ava was standing at the top of the stairs holding something in her hands. It was a photograph. The one from last year when we went camping at the state park in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ava and Liam in their matching hoodies, roasting marshmallows, laughing so hard their eyes were squeezed shut. Is this the picture? Ava's voice was small. Is this the one the bad man had? The one that said we couldn't come in? Liam appeared behind her, clutching his stuffed bear, his eyes wide and frightened. I looked at my children, at their confused, hurt faces. Then I looked at the door, and I made my choice. I pulled my hand away from the doorknob. I'm not opening this door, I said loudly, clearly. You need to leave now. Rachel, you're going to regret this, Jessica shrieked. The only thing I regret is trusting you with my money and my heart. Don't ever contact me again. You're being selfish. You're destroying my life over a stupid misunderstanding. Evan, get her out of here, I said. Take her home and tell your father I said thank you. Rachel, please. I said no. Leave my property or I'm calling the police. There was a long moment of silence. Then Evan's voice, quiet and defeated. Come on, Jessica, let's go. No, I'm not leaving until she listens to me. Rachel. Jessica, it's over. She's not going to open the door. We need to go. This is all your father's fault. He ruined everything. I hate him. I hate all of you. I heard scuffling sounds. Evan trying to pull Jessica away while she screamed and cried. My mother spoke one more time. Rachel, you're choosing to destroy this family. No, Mom. I'm choosing to protect my children. There's a difference. Goodbye. I heard footsteps, car doors, an engine starting, and then they were gone. I slid down the door and sat on the floor, my whole body shaking. Ava and Liam came down the stairs and sat on either side of me. I pulled them close. Are you okay, Mommy? Liam whispered. I am now, I said. I really am. That night, after I put Ava and Liam to bed, I sat alone in my living room and let myself fall apart. I cried for the sister I thought I had. I cried for the mother who chose Jessica over me. I cried for the $23,000 that was gone. And then I cried because I was so tired of crying. Around 10:00, I forced myself to check my bank account on my phone, $4,700. That was all I had left between me and complete financial disaster. Ava's orthodontist appointment was in 6 weeks. That would be $3,000 just for the initial braces. Liam needed new shoes, new clothes, and his asthma medication refills. My rent was due in 2 weeks. I had exactly enough money to cover maybe 2 months if I was extremely careful. I started having a panic attack right there on the couch. My chest tightened. I couldn't catch my breath. The room spun. I had been so stupid, so incredibly stupid to give Jessica that money. What kind of mother gives away her children's security for someone who didn't even put her on the guest list? I grabbed my phone and opened my notes app, started making a list of everything I could sell, my laptop, the TV, my jewelry. Maybe I could pick up more shifts at work. maybe I could find a second job. The panic was still building when my phone dinged with an email notification. Subject: regarding wedding expenses. Client: Thomas Mitchell. My hands shook as I opened it. Dear Miss Rachel, we represent Thomas Mitchell in the matter of wedding expenses paid by you on behalf of Jessica Cooper. Please find attached a complete itemized list of all documented expenses you paid for the wedding, totaling $23,000, a formal demand letter to Miss Jessica Cooper requiring full repayment within 30 days of receipt, and a contract authorizing Bennett and Partners Law Firm to pursue legal action on your behalf at no cost to you. All legal fees will be covered by Mr. Mitchell. Additionally, Mr. Mitchell has instructed us to pursue recovery of the following: babysitter expense, $150 transportation costs, $75 emotional distress compensation, $5,000 total amount demanded, $28,425. Please review the attached documents. If you agree to proceed, sign the contract and return it to us within 5 business days. Sincerely, Daniel Bennett, Senior Partner, Bennett and Partners Law Firm. I read it 3 times. Then I opened the attachments. Every single expense was listed: the venue, the catering, the dress, the flowers, the photography. Everything I had paid for, documented in a professional legal format. Emotional distress compensation, $5,000. Thomas Mitchell was demanding that Jessica pay me for emotional distress. A stranger was fighting for me harder than my own family ever had. I sat there staring at the email until my phone screen went dark. Then it rang. Evan's number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. What do you want, Evan? Rachel, please don't sign those papers. His voice sounded hollow, exhausted. Why shouldn't I? Because Jessica doesn't have that kind of money. If you sue her, you'll destroy her financially. She'll never recover. She destroyed me financially. She took my children's college fund. I know she did. And it was wrong. I'll pay you back. I swear to you. I'll get the money somehow. Just give me time. Don't involve lawyers. You'll pay me back with what money? Silence. Your father cut you off, didn't he? I said. That's what this is really about. More silence. Then quietly, yes. Tell me what happened. Evan took a shaky breath. After everyone left the venue, Jessica and I got in the car. She was hysterical, screaming and crying and blaming everyone but herself. We drove to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, got married at a chapel, just us and 2 random witnesses. I thought maybe if we were already married, my father would accept it eventually, but he didn't. This morning, his lawyer called me. I'm out. Out of the will, out of the family business, out of everything. My trust fund is frozen. My position at Mitchell Enterprises is terminated. He said if I want to be with someone who steals from family, then I can learn what it's like to have nothing. I should have felt sorry for him, but I didn't. So, you married her anyway? I said. Even after knowing what she did to me, what she did to my children. I love her, Evan said, and he sounded like he was trying to convince himself. And marriage is for better or worse, right? She made mistakes, but we can work through them. We're staying at her old apartment now. I'm looking for jobs, but no one wants to hire the son who defied Thomas Mitchell. Yeah, he laughed bitterly. Turns out my father has a lot of influence in this town. No one will touch me. Jessica's back at her retail job making $12 an hour. We're barely covering rent. I'm sorry you're going through that, I said, and I meant it. Not because I felt bad for him, but because I genuinely wished he had made better choices. But that doesn't change what Jessica did to me. I know, but please, Rachel, if you sue her, they'll garnish her wages. She'll be paying you back for the rest of her life. Is that really what you want? What I want, I said slowly, is for her to face consequences for once in her life. I want her to understand that you can't just use people and throw them away. I want her to learn that actions have repercussions. We can set up a payment plan, $50 a month. I know it's not much, but I actually laughed. $50 a month, Evan? That's $600 a year. It would take you 47 years to pay me back. I'll be 79 years old. It's better than nothing. No, I said. It's not, because it lets Jessica off easy. She gets to go on with her life, paying $50 a month like it's a cell phone bill, never really feeling the weight of what she did. I'm signing those papers. Your father's lawyers are going after her for the full amount. Rachel, please. Tell Jessica she made her choice when she put my children's photos in a security guard's hands. Now she gets to live with it. Don't call me again. I hung up and blocked his number. Then I opened the email, downloaded the contract, signed it electronically, and sent it back to the law firm. Within 2 hours, I got a confirmation email. The lawsuit would be filed first thing Monday morning. I slept that night better than I had in months. 3 weeks passed. I heard nothing from Jessica, Evan, or my mother. The silence was both a relief and a source of anxiety. Part of me kept waiting for another confrontation, another guilt trip, another attempt to manipulate me into dropping the lawsuit. But nothing came. The law firm sent me updates. The demand letter had been sent to Jessica. She had not responded. Legal proceedings were moving forward. A court date was set for 60 days out. During those 3 weeks, I also started getting phone calls from relatives. My Aunt Susan, my cousin Emily, even my grandmother, who I hadn't spoken to in 2 years. I was being cruel. Jessica had made a mistake, but family forgives. Was I really going to destroy my sister over money? What would my father think if he could see me now? That last one hit hard. My father had been the kindest man I ever knew. He would have been heartbroken to see his daughters at war like this. But he also would have been furious at what Jessica did. I knew that too. I blocked most of the numbers. The ones I didn't block, I let go to voicemail. Ava and Liam noticed the tension. Ava asked me one night if Aunt Jessica was mad at us. I told her that sometimes grown-ups have disagreements that take time to work out. Liam asked if we were still a family. I hugged him and said we were absolutely still a family, the 3 of us. And that was what mattered. I tried to focus on work, on my children, on keeping our little household running, but the stress was eating me alive. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Every time I checked my bank account and saw that number dropping lower and lower, panic clawed at my throat. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole and saw a man I didn't recognize, late 60s, well-dressed in slacks and a button-down shirt, with silver hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. Thomas Mitchell. My heart jumped. I opened the door but kept the chain lock on. Mr. Mitchell. Hello, Rachel. I'm sorry to show up unannounced. May I come in? I promise I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to deliver something to you, and I prefer to do it face to face. I hesitated. This man was helping me, yes, but he was still a stranger. I understand your caution, he said. I'm essentially a random person showing up at your home, but I wanted to deliver something to you, and I prefer to do it face to face. Curiosity won. I closed the door, unlatched the chain, and opened it again. Thomas stepped inside and looked around my small living room. His gaze landed on the photos of Ava and Liam on the wall. School pictures, family photos from better times. Beautiful children, he said softly. I'm truly sorry for what my son and your stepsister put them through. Thank you, I said. And thank you for everything you're doing, the lawyers, the lawsuit. I don't know why you're helping me, but I'm grateful. I'm not looking for gratitude, I'm doing what's right. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. I took it. Inside was a check made out to me for 28,425. My legs went weak. I had to sit down. I don't understand, I whispered. The lawsuit hasn't even gone to court yet. This is the full amount you're owed, plus the additional expenses and the compensation for emotional distress. But why? Why are you giving me this now? Thomas sat down across from me. Because the lawsuit will take months, maybe longer if Jessica fights it. Meanwhile, you're struggling. You need this money now for your children, for their future. I can't accept this. It's too much. Yes, you can. Consider it a loan. When the lawsuit is settled and you recover the money from Jessica, you pay me back. But in the meantime, your children don't suffer because of her selfishness. Tears started streaming down my face. I couldn't stop them. Why are you doing this? I asked. You don't even know me. Thomas leaned forward, his expression serious. I've spent my entire career writing about human behavior, studying people, understanding what makes them tick. I've interviewed hundreds of people for my books, analyzed thousands of relationships, and I know a good person when I see one. He gestured to the photos on the wall. You're a single mother who gave up her children's college fund to help her stepsister have a dream wedding. You didn't ask for recognition. You didn't demand to be in the spotlight. You just wanted to help your family. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. But I was stupid, I said. I let myself be used. You were kind. There's a difference. Jessica took advantage of that kindness. But that's her moral failing, not yours. I stared at the check in my hands. 28,225. More than I had started with. Enough to pay for Ava's braces, Liam's medication, our rent for the next year. I don't know what to say. Say you'll use this money wisely. Say you'll take care of your children. Say you'll stop letting toxic people make you feel guilty for having boundaries. I nodded, unable to speak. Thomas stood to leave, then paused. Can I tell you something about my son? Of course. Evan is my youngest child. I have 3 others, all successful, all married to good, decent people. Evan was always different. He was attracted to surface things, appearance, status. Jessica is beautiful and charming when she wants to be. He couldn't see past that to who she really was underneath. He sighed. When I found out what she did to you, it confirmed every suspicion I'd had about her. So, I gave Evan a choice. Call off the wedding and learn from this experience, or marry her and face the consequences. He chose her. He did. And now he's learning what it means to be with someone who only values money and status. Jessica is already complaining about their apartment, about his lack of employment, about everything he can't provide for her. I give them 6 months before she leaves him for someone wealthier. You cut him off to teach him a lesson. I cut him off to protect him from an even bigger mistake. If he had access to my money, Jessica would have bled him dry for years. This way, he'll see her true nature quickly. It's harsh, but sometimes harsh lessons are the only ones that stick. He looked at me intently. But you didn't deserve to be collateral damage in my son's education, so I'm making it right. Use this money for your children's future, and if Jessica ever contacts you again, which she will when she gets desperate enough, remember you owe her nothing. How can I ever thank you? Thomas smiled. It was warm and genuine. Live well. Raise those beautiful children to be kind and strong. That's all the thanks I need. He walked to the door, then turned back one more time. And Rachel, don't let anyone make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. What you did, refusing to open that door, refusing to let them manipulate you, that took tremendous courage. Be proud of that. After he left, I sat on my couch, holding that check for an hour, just holding it, looking at it, trying to believe it was real. Ava came home from school and found me there. Mommy, are you okay? I pulled her into a hug. I'm better than okay, sweetheart. Everything is going to be fine now. Better than fine. That night, I deposited the check, paid 3 months of rent in advance, set up Ava's orthodontist appointment, bought Liam new shoes and clothes, and put the rest in a savings account where Jessica could never touch it. For the first time in months, I could breathe. 6 months later, I stood in a courtroom in Raleigh, North Carolina, listening to a judge deliver his ruling. This court finds that the defendant, Jessica Cooper Mitchell, engaged in fraudulent behavior and emotional manipulation. The plaintiff, Rachel Harrison, is entitled to full restitution of $28,125 plus court costs. Jessica sat at the defendant's table, looking nothing like the glamorous bride-to-be from 6 months ago. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her clothes were off-the-rack basics. The light had gone out of her eyes. Evan wasn't there. They had separated after 4 months of marriage, exactly as Thomas had predicted. Jessica had left him the moment she realized he wasn't getting his money back. Last I heard, she had moved back in with Patricia and was working 2 jobs to make ends meet. The judge continued, Miss Cooper Mitchell's wages will be garnished at 15% per month until the full amount is repaid. This garnishment will continue regardless of employment status. Court dismissed. I walked out of the courtroom without looking back. The money from the garnishment would take years to collect, but I didn't need it. I had already received the full amount from Thomas. When the garnishment money eventually came through, I would pay him back with interest, even though he had refused to accept it. My life had changed completely in those 6 months. I had used part of the money to take an event planning certification course. It turned out that after planning Jessica's entire wedding, I had discovered I was actually good at it. Really good. I started a small business out of my home in Durham, North Carolina, planning events for people who couldn't afford the big fancy planners but still wanted something special. Business was thriving. I was careful, detail-oriented, and, most importantly, honest. People appreciated that. Word spread. I was booking events 3 months out. Ava was in dance classes again, twirling around the living room every evening. Liam had joined a soccer league and came home covered in grass stains and happiness. I had started dating Michael, a sweet teacher who loved my kids and never asked me for anything except my company. My relationship with Patricia remained complicated. She had tried to reach out several times, but I kept her at arm's length. I told her I loved her, but I wouldn't let her use me as a buffer for Jessica anymore. She could have a relationship with me and her grandchildren, but it would be on my terms. Low contact, boundaries, no more guilt trips. Patricia had eventually accepted it. We had coffee once a month. She asked about the kids. I was polite but distant. It wasn't the relationship I had hoped for with my mother, but it was the one I could handle without losing myself. Thomas had become an unexpected friend. We met for coffee occasionally. He asked about Ava and Liam, gave me business advice, and told me stories about his own children. He never once made me feel like I owed him, even though I owed him everything. Then, on a random Saturday afternoon, I ran into Jessica. I was at Target in Durham picking up supplies for Ava's birthday party when I saw her at the checkout counter. She was wearing a red vest with a name tag working there. Our eyes met. Jessica's face flushed deep red. I could have walked away. Probably should have. But something made me walk over to her register. Hi, Jessica. She looked like she might cry. I suppose you're happy now, seeing me like this. I'm not happy you're suffering, I said honestly. But I'm not sad either. You made your choices. I made mistakes. I was young and stupid and overwhelmed. You weren't young. You were 24 years old enough to know right from wrong, old enough to understand that actions have consequences. Jessica's hands trembled as she scanned items for the customer in front of me. When they left, she looked at me with desperate eyes. I lost everything, Rachel. Evan left me. I'm working 2 jobs just to afford Mom's garage apartment. None of my friends talk to me anymore. Even Mom barely looks at me the same way. You didn't lose those things, I said quietly. You threw them away when you chose cruelty over kindness. Will you ever forgive me? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe someday, I said. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what you did. And it doesn't mean letting you back into my life or my children's lives. I turned to leave. Wait. Jessica's voice cracked. Your kids, Ava and Liam, are they okay? I looked back at her. They're wonderful. They're thriving. They're happy and loved. And they'll never know what you tried to do to them. I made sure of that. I walked away, left her standing there at her register, and I felt lighter than I had in years. Driving home, I thought about everything that had happened, about the journey from being a people pleaser who gave everything to being someone who knew her worth, about the difference between being kind and being a doormat, about the hard truth that family who hurts you doesn't deserve unlimited chances. I thought about the day I stood at that door, hearing Jessica and Patricia and Evan all demanding that I let them in, let them explain, let them manipulate me one more time. And I thought about Ava holding that photograph, reminding me what really mattered. That was the moment everything changed, the moment I chose my children over my guilt, the moment I chose my self-respect over my family's expectations. I had learned so much, that being kind doesn't mean accepting abuse, that standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival, that sometimes the people who have your back aren't the ones who share your blood, but the ones who recognize your worth, that you can love someone and still need to protect yourself from them. I pulled into my driveway. Michael's car was already there. He was teaching Liam how to throw a football in the backyard while Ava practiced her dance routine on the patio. This was my family now. This little unit I had built from the ashes of betrayal. These were the people who mattered. I got out of the car and Liam ran to me, football tucked under his arm. Mommy, I threw it 10 whole yards. Michael said I'm getting really good. Ava twirled over. Watch my new combination, Mommy. Miss Susan taught it to us today. I watched her dance, watched Liam throw his football, watched Michael wave at me with that gentle smile that said I was home, I was safe. I was exactly where I belonged. And I realized something important. I had won. Not because Jessica was working at Target or because Evan had lost his inheritance, or because my mother had to face what her favoritism had caused. I had won because I had rebuilt my life into something beautiful, because my children were happy, because I had learned to value myself, because I had found strength I didn't know I possessed. Jessica had taken my money, but I had gotten something far more valuable in return. I had gotten myself back. So, here's what I want to ask you. Have you ever had someone in your life who took advantage of your kindness? Someone who used your generosity and threw it back in your face? How did you handle it? Did you stand your ground or did you let them back in? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories. And if this story resonated with you, if it reminded you that you deserve better than people who use you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about finding strength in impossible situations. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to set boundaries, even with family, especially with family. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope it reminded you that you are worth standing up for, that your children are worth protecting, that your peace of mind is worth more than anyone's approval. You deserve kindness, you deserve respect, and you deserve people in your life who see your worth without you having to prove it. Take care of yourselves. Set those boundaries. And remember, living well really is the best victory. Until next time.